Jonathan, you started off your career as a trainee footballer yourself. Sadly, it was cut short through injury. Can you tell us what happened?
I was playing football when I was 15 years of age, and a bloke who's about 6'4" and 18 stone decided to go over the top and broke my leg in 2 places, and I was 16 weeks in plaster, and then the doctor said that it wouldn't stand up to playing professional football, and I don't think I'd have been good enough anyway because I didn't have any pace. And
was it a blow though at the time when it happened?
Oh, it was devastating. I didn't, I went upstairs when the letter came through. I went upstairs and cried for about a day and a half. My mum said, "I told you so, you were never good enough," which is quite supportive. Oh. And my dad, who worked in football, didn't speak to me for about a week because that's all he wanted me to do, So, but in a way, it was beneficial because I could then concentrate on other things. And
yeah, I mean, did that make you think, well, I can't play football? Is that where you got your love of becoming commentator?
Yeah, I went upstairs into my bedroom, locked myself in, got my Subbuteo table out, played Subbuteo non-stop for about 3 weeks and commentated, with me winning all the time because I was playing against myself. And then that's the way it started, really. And then the local radio station advertised for a job, and Bristol City put me up for the job, and that's how I got in covering their matches.
So what do you think makes a good commentator?
I think there are many good commentators around, with different styles. The way that I try and do it is I just try and be what I am with a microphone, which is a football fan. And I think more and more now football fans are coming through, and there are less sort of hoity-toity, highbrow Oxbridge types coming through, and there are people who actually love the game. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to mirror the passion that people feel in the stands, that they pay a lot of money to go and see football, and they get excited, it's their life, and I think you can mirror that in your commentary.
He's in right against Chris Wood! Ian Wright! It's in! Ian Wright for Arsenal! Ian Wright's 4th goal in FA Cup finals! He joins the legendary Stan Mortensen on that mark! He's made his mark again! Right all alone!
What's the biggest gaffe you've ever made?
I was at West Ham again towards the end of the season. It was the last game, and they were playing Notts County. And at the same time, Sheffield Wednesday were up at Oldham. And if Sheffield Wednesday lost at Oldham, West Ham went up as champions. Didn't matter what happened in their game. And I've said live on the radio, Sheffield Wednesday have lost because it was given to me in my ear. Sheffield Wednesday have lost. I think this is a scenario, is what I can remember. So West Ham are up as champions. On they come, about 20,000 roaring because they've won the championship, all looking up and they're waving up to the press box. And then it came through score correction. Sheffield Wednesday had in fact won, so I had to say, oh, correction, Sheffield Wednesday have won. West Ham, you're still promoted, but you're not champions. And then the 20,000 just turned in front of me, and they were making gestures that suggested that I was probably doing things in my bedroom privately that I shouldn't be doing.
How did you feel about that?
A bit embarrassing, but I think they've forgiven me for it now.
England are through! England are through! England are in the European Championship semi-finals, and Seaman has saved, and England have beaten Spain. It wasn't a romping, buccaneering, Drake-like victory over the Armada. We didn't singe the King of Spain's beard, but Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, Jose Carreras, Julio Iglesias, El Cordova, Don Quixote, your boys are out and England are through, and you can stick it up your Julio Iglesias, ask no questions, tell no lies. England are heading for the biggest prize.
A lot of people think, well, you go to a ground, you're set up perfectly, you've got monitors here and monitors there, you've got a perfect view. You don't have that. 9 times out of 10, I did a game at Peterborough once. Peterborough played Brentford, it was a real biggie, and it was the end of the season. We couldn't see half the pitch because there was a door in the way, and Bobby Moore had to stand in the open door, point which way. If it was pointing that way in the first half, I knew it was Brentford had possession, and he did, like, number 5's got the ball, so I knew who it was. Yeah, until number 11 got the ball, and then we couldn't quite work it out between us how to do number 11. But you don't get good positions. Sometimes the floodlights are poor. Sometimes you don't get the teams until 5 minutes before kick-off. It's difficult. It's more difficult than people think.
So, can you give me any tips on, what I need to do to be a good commentator?
You've got to be excited. You've got to realise that every game you're doing, even if it's 0-0 between two teams who you think are the most boring in the world, that game has a relevance to someone who's a supporter of that team. And you've got to speak to that person. You've got to be aware that you're talking to that person, focus on that person. You've got to be a massive football supporter, I think. You've got to love the game. And you've just got to go absolutely ballistic when people score a goal.
And Binksy collects the ball, and it was a superb pass. And there she goes, off towards the goal line. And again a pass. And it misses. And there she goes. She strikes for a goal. And yes, it's in, it's in.